Too close to ignore. Yoo Yeon-seok and Chae Soo-bin's intimate moments behind the scenes. Was it just acting, or something more? The cameras may have stopped rolling, but the sparks between Yoo Yeon-seok and Chae Soo-bin never did. From whispered conversations to lingering eye contact that left staff stunned. This on-set chemistry has taken a life of its own. Let's uncover what really happened, right now with red carpet revealed. It wasn't scripted. At least, not that moment. The cameras had stopped rolling. The lights were beginning to dim. A few members of the crew were packing up props, while others whispered quietly by the monitors. Yoo Yeon-seok didn't move. He was standing by the bench, just off camera, eyes fixed on her. Chae Soo-bin, dressed in her character's light cardigan, was still catching her breath after a long emotional scene. She looked up at him, half smiling, half exhausted. And then something happened. He reached for her hand, not dramatically, not for show, but with a kind of tenderness that made the sound guy freeze mid-step. She didn't flinch. She squeezed back. No one spoke of it. No one dared to break the moment. But the look exchanged between them was captured, not by the main camera, but by a still photographer on set, who later said, "I wasn't supposed to shoot then. But I couldn't look away." They weren't acting anymore. And that's where it began, or rather, where people started paying attention. Yoo Yeon-seok and Chae Soo-bin, co-stars in a highly anticipated melodrama, were captivating audiences with their magnetic on-screen chemistry. But behind the polished cuts and edited trailers was something much more raw, and far too intimate to ignore. Rumors swirled like wildfire after a behind-the-scenes clip aired during a promotional broadcast. In the footage, Chae Soo-bin is sitting between takes, shivering slightly as wind sweeps across the set. Before anyone else could react, Yoo Yeon-seok walks into frame and drapes his jacket over her shoulders. She laughs, quiet and real, and he leans in to whisper something that makes her cover her face with both hands, embarrassed and smiling. It was just 12 seconds of unplanned footage, but it was enough. The internet exploded. Fans were quick to point out what they had already suspected, that what was unfolding off camera was perhaps more genuine than the drama itself. "That's not acting," one fan tweeted, attaching screenshots from the clip. "That's instinct." But to understand how it came to this frenzy, this fascination, you have to go back to their first table read. It was an overcast day in March. The room was filled with pressure, expectations, and executives from both production and broadcasting companies. Yoo Yeon-seok arrived first, greeting the staff with his usual calm warmth. Chae Soo-bin walked in moments later, all eyes on her. It was their first official meeting as co-leads, and no one quite knew how they'd mesh. But as soon as they started reading their lines together, the room changed. You could hear a pin drop. One producer later shared. Their voices didn't just match, they melted into each other. Their dynamic was effortless. He would wait half a second longer than necessary after her line, as if considering it deeply. She would glance at him while reading her part, as if already responding to something beyond the script. From that moment, the buzz began. During filming, they became nearly inseparable, not in an obvious, clingy way, but in subtle gestures that didn't go unnoticed. Yeon-seok would arrive early just to rehearse scenes with her one-on-one. He remembered her coffee order. She would laugh at his jokes, quietly, but in a way that lingered in the air long after. The director, in a private interview, said, "There were times I didn't want to yell cut. I just wanted to watch them exist in the same frame." It wasn't long before the crew began whispering. Makeup artists noticed how Yeon-seok would gently adjust her bangs during touch-ups. Wardrobe assistants caught him smoothing her sleeves or tucking the back of her collar, tiny things that spoke volumes. Even between takes, they'd sit side by side, sometimes not even speaking, just sharing silence in a way that felt deeply familiar. One staff member shared anonymously. Look at each other like they already know the ending. Perhaps one of the most telling moments happened during an outdoor shoot. It was a late night. The wind was harsh. Soo-bin had to film a crying scene in the rain. The water was freezing. Shoot stretched into the early morning. After the final take, she sat down on a bench, visibly shaking. Before anyone could offer her a towel or a coat, Yeon-seok appeared with both. He wrapped the towel around her shoulders and crouched in front of her. What he said, no one heard. But she began crying again, this time not for the cameras. He didn't speak further. Stayed with her. That image, of him kneeling in front of her, soaking wet, holding her hands, became the defining moment for many on set. Still, neither of them said anything. No statements. No cryptic Instagram stories. Just more filming. More scenes. More moments that blurred the line between fiction and something much closer to the heart. They weren't trying to fool anyone. They weren't trying to confess either. But the truth has a way of leaking through the seams. In a promotional interview, asked about their chemistry, Yeon-seok chuckled and said, "Sometimes acting becomes easier when you feel something close to the truth." Soo-bin, sitting beside him, glanced at him for just a second too long before replying, "And sometimes the line between character and self disappears." Comment sparked another wave of speculation. By now, fans were compiling timelines. A popular thread on Twitter detailed every coincidence, from matching bracelets to a shared playlist link that had appeared on both their accounts. But perhaps the most significant clue came from a staff birthday party. It was a private gathering, just a dozen or so people. No outsiders. Someone played a mellow ballad. Out of nowhere, Yeon-seok pulled Soo-bin onto the dance floor. Not for show. Not even for fun. Just to sway for a moment. Away from the noise. She rested her head on his shoulder. Someone took a photo. It never made it online. But it circulated quietly among the crew. Like a cherished secret. They're either the greatest actors of our generation, assistant joked, or the worst at hiding feelings. Either way, something was happening. Something real. But as the production neared its final week, people started asking, what now? Would they walk away from each other once filming wrapped? Was this just a bubble, an illusion born of shared scripts and long hours? Or was it something more? No one knew for sure. What everyone did know was this: whatever it was between Yoo Yeon-seok and Chae Soo-bin, it was too close to ignore. Filming wrapped. Most productions end with a group photo, a few tears, the quiet dispersal of a temporary family. One felt different. Not just for the cast or the crew, but especially for the two people at the center of it all. Last day of shooting. As bouquets were handed out and champagne flutes passed around, Yoo Yeon-seok gave a short speech. It was polite, respectful, what you'd expect from an experienced actor. But there was one sentence that made several heads turn: some roles stay with you. Some people stay longer. Didn't look at anyone when he said it. Except her. Chae Soo-bin didn't speak that day. She didn't need to. The smile she wore while standing beside him, fingers grazing his, more than words ever could. In the days that followed, the drama premiered and exploded in popularity. Viewers praised their impossibly authentic chemistry. Calling it the kind of connection you can't fake. Comments flooded social media. I don't even care what happens in the plot. Just let them look at each other for 16 episodes. Off screen, the tension didn't fade. Appeared together on variety shows and late-night interviews. Their interactions were subtle but electric. Yeon-seok pulling out her chair, Soo-bin laughing at jokes he barely finished telling. Fans started creating compilations, unscripted moments. Just look at his eyes. If this isn't real love. Behind the scenes, though, something more delicate was unfolding. According to a source close to the production team, Yoo Yeon-seok and Chae Soo-bin continued to stay in touch after filming. Not in a public way. No grand outings. No Instagram clues. Just long phone calls at night. Shared playlists. Inside jokes sent over text. They weren't trying to hide anything, the source said. They were just protecting something small and sacred. Came the airport sighting. A blurry photo taken from a distance showed the two actors arriving at Incheon International Airport just minutes apart. Different flights. Different check-ins. Fans weren't fooled. Their flights landed only 20 minutes apart. Both wore beige trench coats. Both carried the same brand of luggage. A Twitter user posted alongside side-by-side images. Don't tell me that's coincidence. But still, no confirmation. No denial. Just silence. And sometimes, silence says everything. Later, fans noticed something new. Soo-bin posted a photo of her holding a book titled The Art of Loving Quietly. The caption was a single emoji. Hours later, Yoo Yeon-seok shared a photo of a pressed flower tucked into the same book. They weren't playing games. They were speaking in a language only the attentive could understand. Industry insiders started to whisper. One stylist who worked with Soo-bin during a magazine shoot said, "Comes the song from their rain scene all the time." Asked why, She just smiled. Others claimed they saw the two together late at night, leaving a private film screening, not holding hands, just walking side by side, like two people who didn't need to prove anything to anyone. And then came the interview. Yeon-seok was promoting a new project when a bold reporter asked, "Your chemistry with Chae Soo-bin was unforgettable. Did anything linger after the cameras stopped?" A pause. A deep breath. And then, he smiled. "Some co-stars stay friends," he said. "Some become more than that. I'll let people wonder which kind she is." It was the closest thing to confession the public would ever get. But it was enough. The drama may have ended, but the story between them hadn't. In fact, it seemed to be just beginning. Fans began noticing a subtle shift in Soo-bin as well. Her interviews became softer, her smile wider. She was glowing, as one fan wrote. Like a woman who knows she's loved. She started wearing a delicate silver ring on her right hand. Yeon-seok was seen with a matching bracelet. Neither acknowledged it. Neither had to. Soon, the whispers reached a boiling point. A major entertainment outlet published an article titled, "Too Real to Be Acting, The Quiet Love Story of Yoo Yeon-seok and Chae Soo-bin." It wasn't a scandal piece. It was a love letter. One that quoted crew members, stylists, even security guards who had witnessed the evolution of something gentle, honest, and real. Still, neither agency confirmed anything. "No comment," they replied. But fans knew. They knew from the way he looked at her during a stage greeting, eyes soft, lips slightly parted, as if speaking to her from across a crowd without words. He knew from the way she stood by his side at a gala, his tie in front of everyone like it was the most natural thing in the world. And perhaps the most telling moment of all came during an awards show. Both were nominated. Both won. Chae Soo-bin thanked her team, her fans, her director, and then paused, "and to the person who reminded me how beautiful it is to trust someone again. You know who you are." The camera cut to Yeon-seok. He wasn't smiling. Watching her like he had been holding that sentence in his chest for months. When he got on stage minutes later. "In the favor. I've played many characters. Some that loved deeply. And some that lost everything. But the one thing I learned this year is that the best love stories aren't written in scripts, they're lived." No one needed to guess. Even as they walked off stage separately, they met backstage. A short clip, captured by a staff member and quickly deleted. Yeon-seok reaching for her hand as they passed behind the curtain. And just like that, the truth didn't need words anymore. Came next didn't matter. Whether they officially confirmed their relationship or kept it to themselves forever. The world had already witnessed enough. Enough to believe. Enough to root for them. Enough to say, that's what real connection looks like. Because in an industry that often sells fairy tales and keeps reality behind velvet ropes, Yoo Yeon-seok and Chae Soo-bin showed something different. Unfiltered. Something warm. Something too close to ignore.